The emptiness machine. Bored of some pangs. Bored of. To be part of. Be part of something. Please be me. The emptiness machine. Música foda, meu. Música foda, meu. Nossa, muito pra frente esse pá. Noite. Noite. Parecendo um menino maluquinho, velho. Carinha de... Ele tá fazendo merda. Salve, Sagui, salve, Marcelinho. Vocês estão. Cara, vamos... Deixa eu arrumar aqui já as paradas. Nossa, Marcelinho, pior que eu não faço ideia desses... São modelos novos, então eu não faço a mínima ideia, velho. Decidi coisa... Olha! Cara, eu acho que na real eu tô perdendo coisa já. Rapaziada, vamos... Eu vou dar-lhe. Eu vou dar-lhe. Nossa, Marcelinho, pior que eu realmente não sei, velho, desses novos modelos aí da Marvel. Eu sei que estão saindo pra caralho. Agora vocês são naquele pique. Eu não sei. Perfeito. Cara, eu não sei onde é melhor deixar, velho. No meio do jogo eu ver. Já jogou Stellar Parable antes? Nunca joguei a Parábola de Stanley. E já deixa o like, se inscreve aqui no canal se você não quer perder mais conteúdos como esse. Tá certo? Hoje vamos jogar a Parábola de Stanley. Jogo de trabalho. E é isso. Deixa o like, se inscreve. Comenta aí se você já jogou. O que você achou. Vou tentar fazer os máximos finais possíveis. Ajuste controles antes até que o computador não seja mais visível. Insira a hora atual? Ah, vai tomar no cu. PM 8:04. Observação. As configurações de acessibilidade podem ser acessadas pelo menu principal. Esse aqui, Sagui, é o Deluxe, tá? Então, assim... Não sei se... Então, Sagui... Ele deu aqui que tá em português. Bota fé? Idioma, apresentação português. Será que é isso ou não? Beleza, aumenta alguma coisa? Aumentar o campo de visão. Vibração do controle não. Sensibilidade da câmera, vou diminuir um pouquinho. Tem alguma coisa que você acha que eu tenho que mudar, Saguim? Não, né? Baixa destreza. O que, Dani? Tá bom, meu dog, tá bom, MB. MB. Essa música é daqui? Tipo assim, a música do meme é daqui? Ou é tipo uma música... É, que tava... Tá. Vamos dar-lhe. Como não tá saindo?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Sim, tá sim. Tá. Não tem português não.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Ele era o funcionário 400...
427's job was simple.
Ah.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment.
Eu tô em cima, né? Peraí.
came in.
Eu tenho como pausar? Eu tô em cima. Peraí.
As though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Tá. Tá,
And then
perfeito.
one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I hate Mondays, ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around
4:20.
touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Para, filha da puta! Cara, eu tô vendo que... Filha da puta! Para!
When
Well,
Stanley
ativando.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, para, cara! Não vou atrapalhar. Que filha da puta, cara!
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Eita, 4B9?
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Tá.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy, and but at last he'd had enough of the amazing room, and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Não, quero entrar aqui.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
Cartãozinho.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
Tá bom.
I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
Como
to
assim?
put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Oxi. Ai!
That's her, Stanley.
É
You
ela?
need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oxi.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
Ah,
Now
cara.
he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job.
Deixa eu TV
First,
aqui,
he imagined
velho.
that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Caralho.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Tá bom, cara. Não vou apertar. Não quero apertar. Não vou apertar. Não, não demorou 1 minuto não, porra. Não, demorou muito mais que 1 minuto isso aqui já. Foi 1 minuto, nem fudendo. Foi muito mais. Foi uns 2, 3 já. Não é possível.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
Ai, porra! Pera aí, Bebeto, não rolou. Ó, eu fui pra direita, prima. Tá. Quando a gente for pra próxima, eu vou. 4, 3, 3.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Vai tomar no cu. Pô, vai se fuder, velho. meu. Vai tomar no cu, cara. Ai, caralho, bugou, bugou! Deixa eu chegar. Ah. Eu não tô conseguindo me concentrar, velho. Pera. O que você sabe do futuro? Natureza, sucesso, transcender, comer, metamorfose, spring break, poluição. Slide lindíssimo. Aí voltou. Dicas pra não ser mandado embora, né? Fale menos. Ai, caralho. Vai tomar no cu. O que as pessoas querem? Qual que era a segunda? Happy feelings! Violet James, you are fired. Caralho! Dinheiro, mais dinheiro. Research. Poxa. Ai, vai tomar no cu, velho. Que é isso? Meeting room. Grupo 42, 43. Office party. Das 9 às 4 também, né? Das 9 às 4. Hip France. Tá. Empregado 417, 400. Olha. Fire paper guy. Who moves my desk? Tá com uma pegada meio The Office isso aqui, velho. Bro.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Vai tomar no cu.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Cara, que jogo filha da puta, velho.
Ah, second player. It's good to... You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus?
Vai
You
tomar
can
no
hammer out the
cu.
details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, eu vou fazer o que ele tá mandando. Eita! Money. Money crisp. Aham. Que isso, pô? Está até... Que isso, cara? Ah, vai tomar no cu, cara. Que isso, faz isso não. Estratégia de negócio é um pandinha com arma na cabeça, porra.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. he stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Caralho. E tinha alguma coisa aqui, velho, pra pegar. Ah, não, é que ele chegou perto do coisa. Fechar a janela ali, peraí.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Era assim, Sagui. Elevadorzinho todo. Eita.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Será?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Tá. Ah, tá lá em cima. Mas eu acho que eu não tenho que apertar agora não, mas pelo menos eu já sei onde tá. 1, 2, 3, 4 aqui em cima e o 5 lá. Não, ainda não tá aberto, beleza. Vou ter que fazer alguma traquinagem aqui. Sabe, Dark? Como é que você tá, meu querido? Oh,
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
será-se?
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
Como assim, Dark?
And yet, even as the immense door
Ah,
slowly
bonitinho.
opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange
Cara, isso aqui
building
é...
hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go.
Show de Truman, isso aqui é
No
show de
longer
Truman
would
total,
anyone
velho.
tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Que isso, Dark? Imagina, meu amor. Imagina, meu querido. Tá maluco.
All of his co-workers were gone.
4, 3,
What could it
6.
mean? Stanley
Que que o
decided to
Beto
go to the
falando?
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Não dá não, pô.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be?
Muito foda.
Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you
Queria parar
wanted
com
this to
isso. Ah,
stop?
não sei.
Do you think it would have been particularly different?
Ah, com certeza.
Would I
Tomara
have
outro
taken
rumo.
the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Ô, Darkzinho, pô, obrigado, meu lindo. Obrigado, e bora. Ei. Filha da puta. Da puta.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Sabe, Cas? Cara. Que isso, Dark? Imagina, meu querido. Tá maluco? Mas imagina. Força, toda a força agora no canal, tá, meu bom? Toda a força aí. Cara, que jogo filha da... Cara, esse jogo é filha da puta demais, velho. Tamo junto, Dark, tamo junto. Cara... Que doente. Que doente, velho. Que doente. Eu não sei se era pra ter achievements. Ih!
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Vai tomar no cu. Cara, é o... Era um recado pra lembrar que recados são ruins. Tem que ter medo. Que filha da mãe, velho. O cara, que jogo... Ele parou de falar comigo. Eu tô sem narrador.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
Mas e agora? Porque eu já fui nas duas, né? Eu já fui nas duas. Qual que...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first.
Eu podia ter
just to
voltado, é
admire
verdade,
it.
Gigi.
Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room.
E se eu não deixar ele
Thank
falar?
goodness Stan... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Eu não entrei, eu não
And so he
entrei.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door,
verdade, isso
and
aqui.
got back on track.
Eu vou descer, eu vou descer.
But Stanley
depois
didn't want
manda aí,
to go
Deck,
back to
depois
the
manda aí.
office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Ué! Não é possível.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Ah, lá vem, velho.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to,
Eu vim ali embaixo antes.
It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone, What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait.
Meu Deus
what?
do céu.
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Não vou
Did you
acabar mais.
move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Ah, meu Deus do céu. Entrar naquela ali.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Cara. Que agonia!
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Isso, Dark?
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
O Dark, é que eu tô jogando, meu amor.
Alright,
Tipo,
I've got
tá
a
ligado?
solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Olha, uma paciênciazinha naquele pique.
You see? The line knows where the story is.
A
It's over
linha,
in
ele
this
falou da
direction.
linha.
Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective
Meu
experience
Deus do
of
céu.
that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the
Música.
mood.
Salve, Sakai, como é que você tá? Que isso, Doug? Que loucura, Doug. Ah! Ué? Do nada? O bagulho tá destoando no game. O que é aquilo, porra? Mas é porque tem algum... não, isso eu sei, mas tem alguma explicação? Ou é só um easter egg, mano? Só easter egg? Ah, tá. Lanças... Personal files.
Wait,
Nossa, cara.
cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Cara, esse jogo é muito doido, velho.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ah, Sakai, pede um negocinho. De um hot dog. Pede um hot dogzinho.
Oh, no, Not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story?
Meu Deus,
Something
lá vem.
exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice.
Ah, meu
We
Deus.
get to make a decision.
Lá
From
vai.
here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place
Mentira.
where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle?
Lá vem.
The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination.
Perfeito.
So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out,
No
won't we?
caminho.
Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Vai tomar no cu.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
Me
had simply
quebrou,
missed a
velho. Que
memo.
filha da puta. Pô, cara, vai cagar, velho. Me quebrou forte. Ah, input ali, velho. Nossa, será que ele tava o tempo todo ali naquele computador e eu não vi? Filha da puta.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Ah. Ah, na plataforma.
Coming to a
Eu não fui pra baixo,
staircase,
eu não fui pra
Stanley
baixo.
walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his
Não
eyes
tava puro,
gently,
não tava puro.
and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Empanada de miojo? Ah, Sakai nem fala. Pior que ultimamente tá caro mesmo, lanchinho. Miojinho é gostoso de vez em quando. Dá pena. Dark, sim, eu ouço a música depois. Depois me manda aí que eu ouço.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Cadê o input? Cadê o PC do input?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Vai tomar no cu. Tá bom, tá bom.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ele ficou puto. Ai. Que o boss sabia que o boss fala? Nossa senhora, cara. Isso aqui. Mas não, ativador, não. Aí, olha aqui, puti. Não, é coisa que o chefe falaria, né? Cara, esse pandinho aqui me acertou, velho. Era 28.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean?
4, 5.
Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Ah, deixa...
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ô, Dark, eu já falei, eu vou ouvir a música, pô. Tá maluco, dog. Segura aí. Vamos aí. Vai tomar no cu.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Mentira.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ui, que agonia.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Nossa, Sakai, pior que... Olha, a maquete. Pior que o... Habibzinho é muito bom, velho. As portas. Quantas passaram... Pera. Ai, caralho, pera aí. Armário de arquivo, do nada. Essa foi no escritório do início do jogo. Caminhos para as portas... Primeira parte de ser projetada. Durante o processo de desenvolvimento, as outras seções foram adicionadas e alteradas, embora a planta inicial permaneça idêntica à primeira versão. O ritmo da sessão de abertura era crucial para o jogo. Este corredor foi movido e alterado para garantir que o jogador podia chegar às duas portas no momento certo. Caralho! As duas portas. Conjunto duas portas abertas para a primeira peça concreta ao design de Stern Parable. Assim, essa só foi criada, o resto do jogo surgiu como uma extensão dela. Ó, que loucura, velho. São os botões. Cada som é mistura do toque de tecla com tom sintetizado. Esse aqui são os créditos? Mentira! Que do caralho, velho. Vai tomar no cu. As partes subterrâneas.
Stanley pushed the big red button.
Gravações cortadas, né?
Jumped in the river.
Kevin Bryden, que dá voz ao narrador, gravou os diálogos todo o jogo 3 vezes ao longo de 2 anos.
And finally, he pushed the number 6. Stanley pushed the number 6.
Pô, que do...
Stanley stood on the roof. Where were all of his co-workers? Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing us a...
Cara, que maneiro, velho. Que choque. Que isso? Mesa de contagem regressiva da mesma versão. Ué? Integrar a versão beta. Ué, não cheguei na sala de contagem regressiva, velho. Menu de ESC. Por muito tempo tivemos um final que só terminava quando o jogador iniciava a partir do ESC. Ah, que do caralho, velho. Olha, eu nem aqui vim. Final zen, captura... Acabou sendo cortado e mesclado com outra parte do jogo. Modelo do final zen. Passou por essas transferências. Do quarto final. Olha, eu nem vim pra ela. E pensamos que estava concluído, mas existia abandonado até novamente no lançamento. Alavancas do final zen. Caralho! Essas alavancas eram originalmente uma parte do final zen. Eu joguei pro alavanca. Caralho, filho. Cronômetro do apartamento. Na versão anterior, que ele levava o final do apartamento, quando leva 15 segundos para o jogador ter no telefone. Elevador de carga. Olha! Mas o do jogo do final. O lounge. Anúncios de Ultra Deluxe. Em dezembro de 2028, vai ser a versão Ultra Deluxe temporada do game. No The Game Awards, essas são capturas de tela dos vídeos que final no anúncio. Ó. Zona de guerra. Eita. No início do desenvolvimento do programa final, que Stanley acabaria em um campo de batalha lutando contra alienígenas. O jogo de ação ganharia consciência e declararia guerra contra o narrador. Logo após começar a construir que era algo jocoso e irônico demais para o tom do jogo. Além disso, algumas pessoas interpretariam isso como força de tirar sarro do seu jogo de tiro, que não era a nossa intenção. Vai tomar no cu. Ai, velho, que foda, cara. Caralho, que brisa, velho. Que joguinho gostoso, cara. Eu voltei. Acho que eu voltei, né? Voltei. E agora tem que dar ESC? Caralho, acho que sim. Deixa eu só ver se eu não volto e dá nada. É. Caralho, que maneiro, velho. Mas tipo assim... Ah,
Even
já dei.
now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Eu acho que eu não
This was
vi.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Entendeu?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Vai pra lá, né?
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Ixi, perigoso.
Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
O que você vai fazer? O que ele vai fazer?
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Vai tomar no cu. Azul tá atrás.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley.
Cara.
Take it for a spin.
Ah, meu Deus.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Ah,
now,
meu
tell me
Deus.
about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Vai tomar no cu. Isso é real? Isso é real? Não é possível. A dead rat. O rato morto tá em cima de na frente pelo dobro do tempo, do metade do tempo. Vai tomar no... Ô, cara, que moral, velho.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Mentira, 4 horas fica aqui. Não, ó, vai pensar nunca na vida. 4 horas isso aqui. Impossível, impossível eu ficar 4 horas isso aqui, velho. Não, claro que não, né, Bridinho, mas... Davi, você tem uma missão. Hiperfoco no Davi. Desliga o headset e fica 4 horas aqui. Não, rapaziada, 4 horas eu vou ficar aqui nem por...
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha!
Que isso, Dark?
Fascinating.
Que isso,
What
Dark?
do you think this game is about,
Aí.
Stanley?
Loucura.
What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to
Loucura,
play
né?
as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there. Oh, no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly, block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Mentira.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls! Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But
lá vem.
you're an inventive kid.
Vai jogar
You'll come up
comigo.
with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Lá vem. Meu, ele só me largou aqui. Não é possível. É, então, se deixasse a bolinha aqui, dava pra dar uma brincada. Uma brincada ainda.
Hold on. What are you doing?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back. We still have so much...
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it, down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Rapaz. Peraí, rapaz, deixa eu fazer um negócio aqui pra agora. Ele tava no... Cara... Vai lá, bem lá, bem lá, bem. Ô, Dark, você tá se passando, tá? Na boa mesmo. Não sei qual que é o rolê, mas... Menos. Não sei qual que é a tua, mas... Não meta lo crazy. Meu Deus! Não apagou! Obrigado. Meu Deus, mas e aí, é infinito! Bom dia, PSK. Ai, biridinho. Eu tava ficando maluco, aquela música não me pegou legal. Tô bom, meu lindo, tô bom e você. Meu Deus, nós voltamos. Pior que eu não sei, Sagui. A sala das TVs?
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ah, pera aí, Sagui. Pera aí que a gente vai pro conteúdo novo aqui.
Hello,
eu podia
and
escolher,
thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing
Tudo no
adventure.
Deluxe, tudo no Deluxe, Sagui. Vamos ver.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, here we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle. Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Ah, só quem quer, né? Só quem... Ué!
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations.
Posso falar real?
If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Posso falar, True? Não é. Tá.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something! Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork, ain't it? Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Filha da puta.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
Vai tomar no cu. Vai tomar no cu isso. Ô, velho. Esse quadrinho me acertou. O quadrinho me acertou muito, velho. Vai tomar no cu. No Mozilla, velho. Olha o cara usando Mozilla. Ah, tá, lembro. Ó, ganhou mesmo isso aqui, Saguinho? Coleção de editor... Caralho. Tesão, velho. Ó na Steam. Demo. Não jogue por 5 anos, olha lá. Pô, que do caralho, velho.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Ah. As portas.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Olha. Ué. Eu queria... Gote, brilhinho. Queria entrar na sala séria. Aparentemente eu não posso, né?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh, God,
Reviews.
No. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
A gente vai ver as
Surely
reviews
these
da
reviews
Steam.
were glowing as well, weren't they?
Meu Deus.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Steam Reviews.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Eita.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. What if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record? Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time, by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. 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 Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It
Meu
was divorced
Deus, que
entirely from
brisa!
the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was
Gente.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every...
Ele fica fazendo uma ode ao próprio bagulho, tá ligado?
The end is never the end, 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 is never.
Vai cair o bagulho ali. Vamos sacar então, o bagulho tá... Ai, que susto.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Que brisa, velho. Que brisa.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you. You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Olha o Windows, velho. Olha, filha da puta. Os caras explicando como 2 ia ser muito melhor. Com o headset. Pode se fuder, velho. Isso aqui me quebra muito, cara. Vai tomar no cu. Ai, com um PowerPoint com a logo. Ai, que maneiro, Sagui. Que maneiro. Cara, é um PowerPoint, velho. A último. Thanks for attention. Velho.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
É. Sequências são boas. Portal 2 é bom, diz. Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum, City, Divinity, Doom 2, Aladdin, o Retorno de Jafar e Dark Souls 2. Confere? Confere, confere. Confere. Cara, posso falar true? Esse todo tipo de coisinha me acerta muito, cara. New features. Ah, velho, olha. Os caras fizeram como se fosse red carpet, cara.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Ônibus, uau. Your name in the game?
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
A estrada para achar o botão perfeito. Muito grande, muito pequeno, o correto. Não é possível, cara. Apertando esse botão vai falar o meu nome da pessoa que tá jogando.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Vai tomar.
I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim,
Eu
and
sou
as
Jim,
Jim
todo mundo é
watching
Jim.
your dreams crumble into
Perfeito,
dust.
todo mundo é Jim. Todo
Do
mundo
you
é Jim.
feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Eu sou realmente
If
Jim.
so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If
verdade,
this were
Jim.
the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim.
Jim.
I'm putting the Jim button away.
Jim.
Otherwise, soon
Jim.
you'll start to lose
Jim.
all sense of
Jim.
who you actually
Jim.
are.
Jim. Jim. Jim.
Cara, por que colocar portas aqui? Por quê? Por quê? Por que porta ali?
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable too. That would
Opa,
actually
Jim.
save me the work of finishing this feature. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Ah! Não sei, Jim. Campeão mundial de configuração. Ah!
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
É que eu tô sem print screen aqui, velho. Windows Shift S. Ah, não vou conseguir tirar.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Doente.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Será que o botão do Jim voltou? Mentira. Meu Deus. Deve ser pra loja. É o... é o site do jogo 2. Pô, que foda, velho. Que foda. Ele é o... é o site do jogo 2, tá ligado? Ele agradece... fala que vai ter... a jornada vai ter sequência... E aí que ele fala, ó, obrigado por parar aqui e agora vai... Ô, vai se fuder, vai se fuder. Obrigado por parar aqui e agora vai aproveitar o resto da exibição, velho. O cara sabia. Filha da puta, cara. Ô, vai se fuder. Pô, que jogo foda. Deixa eu ver se eu tenho o botão do Jim. Ah, velho. O cara sabia, cara. Não tem mais. Ah. certinho. Aqui o epílogo. Ah, que do caralho, velho. Oh. Ah, velho. Cara, é que eu não vou conseguir tirar screenshot. Vai se fuder. Ai, não vou conseguir tirar print, velho. Só pelo jogo. Pela Steam só. O botão que diz o nome do jogador que está jogando. Olha. O botão que diz o nome do jogador que tá jogando. Eu quero do... Cadê? Balde reconfortante. Bankruptcy.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical,
Tá, perfeito.
that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be?
Claro.
Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Não é possível, velho.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Ah, vai te fuder, Beridinho. Piada boa, a piada foi boa, tá? Mas tem o mapa. Cara, eu contei... A saída tá ali. Eu quero no Activa, mano. Aqui não vou acreditar que seja tão rápido, tão fácil, né? Tão simples. Puxa a alavanca, recepção. Ah, lá vem,
Now
velho.
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
A que ele falou antes? Ah, filha da puta. Ah, ali deve ter o mesmo rolê, fazer aquilo ali.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh,
Meu
well.
Deus.
I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Meu Deus, dava pra pular aqui, velho. Filha da puta.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all
Jogo
of
da
them.
Sony.
I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Ah, tá de brincadeira.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Filha da puta.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Cara, deve ter
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer,
Deve ter
but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of
Meu
infinity.
Deus, que agonia que me
From one
deu.
perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not
Filha da
working?
puta. Não.
You sure?
Tenho.
Well, I mean...
Cara.
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment
filha da
ago.
puta.
Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Que isso? Que foda! Caralho! Cara...
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Lá vai, vou começar a cair de novo. Não, Sakai.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Que sono. Que eu não fui aqui ainda, velho? Tipo aquele ali, Sakai? Ah, do tec. É, a caixinha de som, né? A caixinha de som fazia esse...
Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
A gente pegava interferência. Tá, o balde tá aqui. Colecionável, decoração do escritório a gente já viu. Buraco praticamente infinito, mudou o nome. Falta só saída? Cara... Ah, eu não fui daquele do... Eu não fui da configuração, né? Eu vou ter que subir lá pra ir da configuração. Do nada ouviu. Tem. Epílogo. Botão do Jim. Ué! Será que eu tenho que voltar com o balde? Ué. Vai ser jogado na cama. Mexi em todas as opções. Ah, vai tomar no cu, não é possível.
All
Não é
right.
possível.
Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Que isso, que loucura. Deita.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Ó, mudou até aqui. Ah, mas acho que eu não vou conseguir fazer de novo, né? Bom, é que tinha coisa, tá?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a
os
big
balão,
building
porra.
where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley.
Que loucura. Virou...
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Aí mesmo? Depois ele cantar tudo?
Stanley felt the bucket
Fica só
calling
no...
to him,
Tio
begging him
balde.
to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
Cadê o balde? Ah, no escritório? O balde!
Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now.
It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say
Ah,
here. It's
mentira.
supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now
Meu
it's
Deus,
settled.
colocou
No more
selo.
debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Sérgio Fernandes, boa noite.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket.
O adesivo de balde
That
no
way,
balde.
if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not,
Perfeito.
you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Faz sentido.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. You found one of them.
Yes!
One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Vai tomar no cu, velho. Ô. Esse jogo... Meu Deus, é verdade. Será que o bebê cresceu? Quase certeza que o bebê cresceu. Cara, eu não vi aqui, né, velho? Desde o primeiro eu não vi aqui.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
Mini
Stanley
stands é legal.
things. What about Stanlerines?
Estatueta.
Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under
Estatueta é
your
ótimo.
belt.
Não. Tô andando com um balde, velho.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be read mind control facility.
Agora a gente tá com o balde. Será que mesmo no 2, Sagui? Crente os pai. Será, Sagui? Então, mas... É porque eu acho que como eu tô com o balde...
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Ah, é lá embaixo.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered
Mano,
to
aqui a gente tá com o
themselves.
balde agora. Acho que deve mudar alguma coisa.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never
balde
seen
nunca
anything
tinha-
like this, and it very nearly burst
então.
into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it
Mas
that
Sagui, olha lá, ele
everything
fala
would be
tudo do
fine.
balde, porra. Não tem como fazer. Ele falou que o balde é pras paradas ficar menos complexas. Pra deixar o jogo mais simples.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket
Oh,
been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Aqui.
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Que loucura, velho. Tem 100? Não, 50 cada, né? 16 aqui? Caralho! Pirata. A música é foda, tá, filho?
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter.
Olha
His
lá,
one friend in the entire world.
A gente tem o balde,
At
tá
this
ligado?
point, he could trust no one except
Exceto no balde. Olha lá, velho, a porra do balde, cara. A gente tem a porra do balde.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Cara, tem alguma coisa aqui que eu não descobri que tem que fazer pra ligar tudo. Aqui, né?
When
Porque
at last they came to the... But at
Nunca
the
tinha-
last second, the
tinha feito
bucket
um-
jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the
Off.
controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for
balde, porra do
itself?
balde.
How could the bucket have betrayed him like this?
O balde traiu a
Stanley
gente.
was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Eita! Não tem recompensa. No objetos appear across the office. Tem que ser. Por quê? Headroom. Olha lá! Virou missão pegar eles. Ah, vai se foder. Não é possível. Anda. Escadas.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Cara, ele fica pistola com a porra da dispensa, velho. Não vai ter sido nenhum comentário mais.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn
Red
between
e o Blue e o outro não lembro de que
and
era.
Figlets. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Ah, isso aqui é loucura.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now.
Tá com cara, Seguro.
Stanley, Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Meu Deus.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Saltos mortais. Ah, caramba.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception.
Que
This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured
Yeah.
vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come,
Cara.
let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Meu Deus, ele te matou.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Quarto grande cheio de caixas, eu não sei onde é isso não. Onde é que é as portas vermelhas, a porta vermelha e azul? Lembra?
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have
mesmo.
no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Real. Essa boss sabe que vai... Clássica. Cantou Stanley. Mentira.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Tudo muda por causa do balde.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Você encontra a beira do abismo do conhecimento, assim como balde. A mente humana geralmente está vazia por dentro, mas um vazio cavernoso. Mas por meio de disposição diante de você, a mente pode se tornar plena, enriquecida e fundamentada. O conhecimento do balde é a história e o único conhecimento verdadeiro que nós possuímos. Você vai levar consigo que aprender aqui para o mundo. Você vai aceitar a mente aberta, que pode ser desafiador, sobre as informações dessa exposição. Você vai mudar a sua vida e a de seus entes queridos como consequência dessa exposição? Ou você vai fechar os olhos e continuar a ver o mundo antes, como antes, na ignorância e na escuridão? Ixi.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Uma fotografia de 25 baldes. O maior número de baldes já capturados por uma câmera. O fotógrafo sofreu um choque catatônico em virtude da euforia causada por ter sido exposto a tantos baldes ao mesmo tempo. Vai tomar no cu. Cara. Um balde com duas alças. Este balde é ilustrado apresentando duas alças. Tal conceito nunca foi criado na vida real, tendo sido considerado perigoso demais e irresponsavelmente experimental. Todos os anos, dezenas são condenados à morte por tentar reproduzi-lo. O balde do inferno. Uma réplica do balde do inferno, que na Idade Média era tão cobiçado por causa do fascínio que causava, que levou dezenas de nações a entrar em guerra para obter seu controle. Bilhões morreram, e apesar de tudo, esse simples fato permanece irrefutável. Ninguém é capaz de controlar um balde. Ai, caralho. estresse e analogia do balde. Preocupado, negative forecast, negative thinking. O balde anti-estresse. Apresentado sem comentários. Ah, velho, não é possível. Ah, não. Desenho rupestre. Embora saibamos que os baldes são anteriores à existência da humanidade, não sabemos o quanto tempo antes eles surgiram. Este desenho rupestre mostra as primeiras descobertas dos usos práticos do balde pelo homem primitivo. Época que o balde provavelmente já existia há vários milênios. Observe nesses desenhos como o balde permite ser usado julgando a humanidade digna. Os desenhos do Robson. É Robson que fez ele. Ai, velho.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Balde pendurado. Essa peça simboliza a relação necessária entre o balde e a humanidade. Mais clara que seja a nossa compreensão do balde, sempre há mais conhecimento que permanece além do nosso alcance. Essa distância, inevitavelmente, é para o nosso próprio bem.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision of the...
Eu vou fazer das portas.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like?
Cara.
There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless... What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Ah, lá vem. Ha!
Now then,
É game
I'm
show,
going to run
velho.
you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Tá.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Perfeito.
Item 3.
É um balde. É
Is this a
um balde, é um balde, é um balde, é um balde. Aí, ó.
Correct. This is a bucket.
Perfeito.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor.
Não é balde
and
não,
not a
Sagui.
bucket.
Tem
To be
roda.
honest, I just sort of put this one in here
Só
as
por
a
isso, hein?
gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Não. É. Aí, ó.
Is this a bucket?
Cara, é só porque eu nunca vi um balde vermelho, velho. Então não é balde.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Olha lá. Primeira vez que tem tudo pra primeira vez da vida, né? Balde vermelho.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Esse não é, claramente não é. Aí,
Trick
ó.
question.
É ambos?
Both. Gotcha.
É, não era um balde.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Ah, é pegadinha. É um balde.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift.
É, muita
Do
coisa
any
balde,
of us
velho.
know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Isso é um
Stanley,
balde.
I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
What?
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Mentira.
Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that.
Tá.
Who knows what that information might do to a person?
É.
All right,
Se as
here we
pessoas
go.
souberem mesmo que tudo é balde. Acabou. Quero doce. Mas é isso, rapaziada. Holy moly. Holy moly. Cara, quem sabe a gente continua amanhã esse jogo, velho. Eu curti. Muito brisento, meu. Muito brisento. É isso. Rapaziada. Beijo pra vocês. Obrigado a todo mundo que acompanhou. Amanhã continuamos o 2. Curti. Beijo pra vocês. Até amanhã. Boa noite, Jim. Boa noite, Jeans. Tamo junto, tá? Se cuidem. Bons sonhos. Não esqueça de tomar água e tomar aquele banho também. É nóis! Se cuide, viu? Nhau! Não esqueça que tudo é um balde.